Alright, so you're probably wondering from that title, what does a Randy Cunningham ninth grade ninja idea have to do with Dark Knight Returns? Well, as most of you guys know, while I don't absolutely hate The Dark Knight Returns, I will admit that, it's a comic I can read and not really, I'm not a big fan of it. I shouldn't say hate. I don't hate this comic, but on the other hand, I'm not a big fan of this comic. I'm not a really big fan of this story. But however, I can understand why it has such an impact with fans, as well as why it resonates with the comic industry and its fans for the most part. That's the big thing here, is that, yeah, while I'm not, me personally, I'm not a fan, I fully acknowledge its contribution to the comic book industry, and saying that, hey, this, along with a few other comics, helped saying, comics aren't just for kids. They can be treated as a well-respected medium. Yeah, but me personally, I've just never been a big fan with it, and I've talked about it before in several videos, so I don't want to go too deep into it. And I will admit the concept is really cool. Batman coming out of retirement after, 30 years of, 30, 40 years of retirement? Or is it 20? I can't remember. It's long-ass time. Long-ass time out of retirement, and the government is, pretty much implemented this big brother kind of story. And I thought it would be always kind of cool, and I've kind of been doing adaptation I've always kind of done kind of like pseudo-adaptation stories. Hell, that's what I'm doing with Acts of Vengeance with Jason Voorhees 2011, where we're doing a cartoon version of that Marvel story arc, but with different villains, and I've talked about that already. So this kind of idea is kind of like a cartoon amalgam universe, but takes the tone of Dark Knight Returns angle to it. And I thought it would be kind of a fun idea to kind of talk about this idea, because I've always had it planned, but I've never really written it out. And if anyone wants to write this, be my friggin' guest, because I don't think I'll ever write this. But yeah, so the story is that Randy is no longer the ninja. He is no longer the ninja. He has, given up the title, obviously 4 years, and then he graduated and no longer was the ninja and had to be moved on to somebody else. He now is a school teacher at Norrisville, and the world, Norrisville and the whole world around him has just kind of gone to complete shit. And the other thing is that Randy, every time he goes to sleep, and he's starting to lose his mind, because he's now starting to remember his time as the ninja, and he's going nuts about it, because he's like, why do I keep dreaming I'm the ninja of Norrisville? Because there hasn't been a ninja after him. When he became the ninja, the mask did find a protege, but he got killed off pretty quickly for like a few weeks into his job, and now basically, yeah, McFist and the rest of them, big corporations have taken over Norrisville. It's pretty much become Sin City in Norrisville at this point. And Randy's starting to lose his mind over having all these flashbacks to his time as the ninja, and, eventually his memories come back to him. He's like, yeah, I'm the ninja, and I ain't putting up with this shit no more. So, Randy basically, quintessentially gets together, a bunch of old ninja weapons and proclaims himself the new ninja to go about defeating McFist and, righting wrongs in a more brutal kind of way. However, this isn't really sitting well with some of the other heroes who have decided to go on with this big government kind of idea. One of them being Danny Phantom. Yeah, I know I said in my non-comic Civil War story that, Danny would probably not be on the registration side. And here, since it's alternate universe, I figured, why not? He can be the Superman stand-in. Yeah. So, yeah, Randy, along with Kim Possible and several other heroes, have pretty much, joined this superhero task force to, more or less, whenever the government needs them, they'll go out and do wet works kind of missions. So, when they discover that, Randy's come out of retirement and now he's the ninja, he's the ninja again and he's more brutal, they're like, Danny's pretty much telling him, look, buddy, you gotta stop or I'm gonna make you stop, and Randy's like, nope, that ain't happening, so of course you know where this is going. I did have several ideas of where certain characters would be. I did have it that Randy was married to Teresa. Howard was the owner of a bar, a sports bar. I can't remember what I called it, but it was something like, I think, if I remember right, he bought the game hole and turned it into like a Dave and Buster's kind of weird thing, but more like an adult bar. Anyway, so yeah, he's married to Teresa, who is, she is pregnant with a kid, and she's pretty much warning him, look, don't go do this, you're gonna get yourself killed. And Randy's like, no, I've got to do this, our town's has been suffering for too long. And that's the other thing is that Danny, now that he's part of the government, he's now part of quintessentially Big Brother. Sam's left him. Most of his family doesn't want to talk to him, and that's kind of changed him. That has quintessentially made him a lot colder. It's made him more just more like I need to take my rage out on somebody, and unfortunately, that somebody is Cunningham. And I kind of had it in plan that Danny and Randy, when they were younger heroes, they didn't get along. It wasn't like Superman and Batman, where it's like, oh, I don't agree with your tactics, Bruce, but we're still friends. No, they just they never liked each other. They tried to showboat. They tried to outdo one another. And there was a young superhero team that had to disband when the government was like, hey, you guys got to register. And you can't have all this power. So yeah, among other things, Danny actually cripples Dipper, who is in this continuity. I wouldn't say he's like Oliver Queen, but he's more like he grew up to be like a very kind of he became a major conspiracy theorist, and he started asking too many questions. Danny got sent to his house and pretty much paralyzed him for life to shut his ass up. Anyway, so yeah, this story was pretty much the Ninja Returns, more or less. It was pretty much, yeah, I know it's pretty much a weird version of Dark Knight Returns, but I figured, you know what? I've done that before, and people have done this before. I was like, yeah, Dark Knight Returns, but with the ninja. That sounds pretty cool. The thing is that again, it kind of falls in the pitfall with all these ideas I talk about. The thing with this is that while it sounds cool in your head, how do you do it exactly? How do you play it out without making it sound like 100% like Dark Knight Returns? Because that's the thing. While it is based off of the Dark Knight Returns, I didn't want to make it 100% like Dark Knight Returns. Yeah, there were elements, but I didn't want to make it shot for shot like Dark Knight Returns, like Randy having a sidekick or something of that nature. So, there you go. But anyway, guys, you guys tell me, what did you guys think of this idea? Do you guys like it? Do you guys hate it? Just comment below, let me know. And once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.